Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining our this live webinar study at Oregon State University in the USA. If you are interested in studying your undergraduate or postgraduate program at Oregon State University in the USA, this webinar is for you. My name is Augusto Amante. I'm Recruitment Manager for Global Studies. Global Studies is an education institution, an educational agency where we help you with all the application process to study abroad. We have different destinations like the UK, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, Spain, Ireland, Malta, Chipre, and others. Today, I want to introduce you to our special guests. We will be talking today about Oregon State University. We will have with us to Lina Martinez, UK and USA Regional Manager, and Casey Glick, Oregon State University Director of Marketing and Recruitment. And they have a lot of experience with the students applying in the USA. And in this webinar, you will know more about the programs offered by Oregon State University in the USA. Oregon State University is part of the Inter-University Partnerships. And this is an independent organization. This is an independent organization focused on expanding higher education opportunities for the students worldwide. And now I want to introduce you to Lina Martinez. Hi, Lina, how are you?
Hi, Hugo. How are you? Hello, everyone. As Hugo said, my name is Lina Martinez. I'm the Regional Manager for Inter-University Partnerships. And before we introduce Casey and Oregon State, I would like to give you like a brief review of what is Into, what we do, and how we support our international students to come to study to these amazing universities in these two destinations. So we have among 20 partners among the US and in the UK. And in all of these universities, you can study like art, theater, music, engineering sciences, agriculture, among other degrees. So in the US in specific, you will find like this is like the universities that we have partnership with. And as Hugo mentioned, in this specific webinar, we're going to talk about Oregon State University. I'm not lying. It's one of the campuses that I love the most from all the universities that we have partnered with, and I always dream to work there. I don't know, Casey, if you know this, but I if there is ever a spot that I can work at the university, I would love to apply for that one because the campus is amazing. The city, Portland, wow! Like the culture is so different and so bohemian, like amazing, and the university is top ranked. And again, it's in a university that you can find all the degrees that you like dream of. So, well, I think it's time for Casey just to start talking about Oregon State University, why you guys should consider this as one of the universities that should go to study abroad, and all the support that we give to all international students that come to this university. So thank you for joining us, and thank you, Casey, for your time.
Thank you, Lina. Now I want to introduce to Casey. Casey Glick is, well, I want to tell you about Casey Glick. He's an alumni of Oregon State University, where he received his master's degree in public health with a focus on international populations. Previously, he received a bachelor's of science in education and another in health promotion and behavior. After graduation, he worked at Oregon State University as the International Student Engagement Coordinator, making sure international students felt welcome and included on campus, as well as developing opportunities outside the classroom that supported students' academic and professional growth. He also lived and worked in Vietnam for Oregon State University and is now heading up the marketing and recruitment team. Hi, Casey. How are you?
Hello, Hugo. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, thank you for being with us, Casey. I want to remember all the people that is watching us in Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. All of you, please write down your questions during our guest presentation, and we will be answering your questions after the presentation. Yes? Casey, now I want to show the audience a video we have to show more about Oregon State University.
Great.
For 150 years, we've been out there. Innovators who never quit. Pioneers creating new industries. Leaders blazing new trails. Champions overcoming the odds. Explorers of new frontiers. Dreamers who imagine the future and then make it happen. Now, as we get ready for another 150 years, there's one thing that hasn't changed. It all starts right here.
Perfect, Casey. If you are ready, please, you can start.
Great. Well, it definitely all started right here for me. As you mentioned, I'm an alumni of Oregon State University. I got all three of my degrees there. And I'm really excited to talk to you about this university, a place that I've found really empowers students and allows them to pursue their dreams. And that's how I want to start. And I know that I can't see all of you right now that are attending and watching this, but I really, at OSU, we like to put the student first. We want you to think of where you want to be, what change you want to make in the world, and what kind of career you want to go into, and then work backwards from that towards that goal. And so we're really excited to meet students where they are, and then give them the tools to progress to go into the career or the field that they want to. To take a quick step back though and orient ourselves, as Lina mentioned, Portland, Oregon is the largest city in Oregon. We're right on the West Coast, underneath Washington, above California. And so if you do choose to go to OSU, you'd fly to Portland and then take a short drive down to Corvallis, which is the location that we're in. Many people probably haven't been to Oregon or maybe even heard of Oregon. So let me assure you, it is an incredibly beautiful place. We have a lot of big natural areas where you can hike and bike and explore, big cities like Portland, and it really is just a great place for quality of living. Here's just some aerial footage of campus so you can get a feel for what Corvallis looks like. All of those brick buildings there are part of campus. It's about 400 acres, over 150 buildings, and it's in what we call a college town or a university town in the U.S., which means it's not a huge city. It's a smaller city, but it's a very large university with about 30,000 students and about 3,500 international students. Great climate, I'll talk about that in a second, but what I really loved about campus is just there's so many resources, whether you're looking for laboratory spaces, advanced classrooms, athletic facilities, or recreation facilities. It's really got it all. The other thing that I loved about living on campus is that, first of all, OSU was ranked the safest campus in the entire US by ADT Security. And so not only is it safe, but we really want students to feel like it's their home, that they're part of the community, and that they have an active voice in that community. What I loved as a student is if you're in a huge city, let's just say Seattle or Chicago, what can happen is the second that your class gets over, everybody stands up, leaves campus, spreads out into the city. But in a college town, you're constantly surrounded by your peers. And that means we have more active clubs doing events and activities. You can walk into coffee shops and see your friends, see your professors, and you really get to know your community. Another nice thing about a college town is that it has a lower cost of living. So, for example, we have free public transportation at the entire city, no matter where you need to go. There's no sales tax in Oregon. That helps keep the cost down as well. And then the rent or the on-campus housing that you're going to live in is going to be much cheaper than large cities like San Francisco, LA, Seattle. As I mentioned, fairly temperate climate. Today is a beautiful spring day here. It's probably about maybe 22, 24 degrees. It'll cool down this evening, but we have all 4 seasons. In the fall is when all the trees turn colors. In the spring is when the cherry blossoms and the flowers come out. Warm summers and then cool winters. But it doesn't get cold enough to snow, so fairly moderate, like I mentioned. So kind of what does an on-campus experience look like? Well, it starts with living in the residence halls if you're an undergraduate student. So if you're coming directly from high school or secondary school, you get a chance to live on campus. All of our residence halls are integrated, which means you're going to be living with other international students, domestic students. You can choose if you want a community. So we have some communities for majors like business and engineering, but we also have communities that are based on interest. So if you're really excited to get outdoors and to explore camping and hiking, rafting and surfing, then you can live with people like you in a designated hall. And this is a great opportunity to make some friends, to get to know the university, and to be right in the middle of all of the support and services that the university offers. Besides being in classes, a huge part of an American university is the experiences you get outside of the class. And as Hugo mentioned earlier, that was part of my role at OSU when I worked on campus before I got this position. And so I help students get connected with our 400 clubs that you can get involved with. Some of these are interest-based. So if you like dance, if you like video games, if you like art, there's clubs that you can get involved with. Some of them are athletic. Most sports, you can get involved with that as well. But there's also these really cool academic clubs. So let's say you're looking at mechanical engineering. You could join our robotics club or our rocket club. And that club will actually go to competitions around the U.S. Our rocket club typically travels nationally and even internationally and competes at competitions that like NASA will put on. So this is a great way to boost up the kinds of experiences that you have. You'll have a lot of chance to network. This is to get to know your peers and your professors. At OSU, you're going to get to know your professors who have connections to their industries. They're leaders in their field. So that's a huge resource. I know that my graduate mentoring professor still emails me jobs to this day, and I have a great relationship with him. And so that's hugely beneficial to our international students. And there's a lot of events and activities on campus, whether it's concerts, sporting events. And so it's definitely a very lively atmosphere, even though we're in a smaller city. Talking about programs, OSU is a huge state school, so we have over 200 degrees. But basically, our strongest programs are those that involve some kind of research or innovation. Like the video showed, we really like to invent the future, to take a look at the hardest problems that are facing our societies, dissect them break it into smaller pieces, and then find solutions for those. And so if you're interested in engineering, we have a top 100 engineering program, second largest computer science program in the nation. And our engineering department does over $50 million in research every single year. Also, we're very strong in earth sciences and life sciences, so biology, chemistry, oceanography, marine biology, agricultural sciences, which is like food science and technology or ecology, social sciences, psychology, political science, international relations, and then finally business. We've got a phenomenal business program, which I'll touch on here in a second. But basically, at the undergraduate level, we have just about anything a student could want. At the graduate level, we have over about 60 different graduate programs as well, many in those same fields that I mentioned. Now, a big part of why you want to study abroad is probably to propel your career, to be able to get that dream job and to be able to cash in on all of the hard work and the tuition that you're going to put into studying abroad. And so at OSU, our biggest priority is making sure that your degree is worth something, that it pays off more than your average degree. And that's why we really focus on career-based activities that prepare you for the workplace. That's why our students, when they graduate, on average, make $20,000 more than their peers from other universities. And you can see some of the starting salaries of our students here on the screen. So how do we get to that point where our graduates are doing so well and making those great salaries? It's all about skills and experience. Many of you international students, especially if you're an undergraduate student, you might be coming to university without a lot of work experience, without a lot of background in your field. So it's really important that you get these experiences because they are going to be what you put on your resume. Trust me, I've been in a lot of interviews and for jobs. No one asks you how you did in your classes. No one asks you, what your grades are. They want to hear about your actual experience. Do you know the technology that you need to do your job? Can you, on day one, start being effective? And so we're going to build that into your education. We have tons of lab space to make sure that you're getting comfortable with that technology and the tools that you use in your trade. And sometimes that means getting outside the classroom. So as you saw from the opening video, we have a veterinary science program that has a full animal farm on campus. We also have a solar farm, a 20,000 acre research forest. We have tons of lab space, and we actually have a campus at the Oregon coast with 3 vessels that are ocean-going vessels that you can actually go out and study on as well. So we're going to take you to places where you can practice your trade. And I mentioned research earlier. And so at OSU, one thing we really take a lot of pride in is we do about $500 million US of research every single year. And I know that a lot of universities talk about research, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. First of all, think about how much of an investment you can make in campus with $500 million. That means our laboratory spaces are continuing to expand. We're building them and outfitting them with the latest technology. So when you go into our chemistry labs, you know that they are fully equipped with the latest technology to provide you with the best experience. This also gives you those experiences that make you more competitive in the job market, or if you're an undergraduate student looking at going to a graduate program, this is incredibly important as well. Just a little bit of background on the way the American education system works. For a lot of undergraduate degrees, it's non-competitive, which means if you can meet the entry requirements, you'll get into the program and you can start, you graduate. But if you want to go on to a graduate degree, most graduate programs are incredibly competitive. They'll get thousands of applications and only select the top amount. This isn't to discourage you. It's to show you that you need to be able to stand out. So we want to make sure that at OSU, as an undergraduate student, you're getting exposed and getting to work on research groups with professors and graduate students so that you'll stand out from the crowd. This also helps us attract the top faculty and professors from around the world. So I mentioned that we have the 2nd largest computer science department. We're actually in the top 10 largest engineering departments. And large doesn't necessarily mean good, but what it does mean is we have more professors coming in with backgrounds from all different realms in their area of expertise. Let's take computer science. Computer science is an incredibly diverse field. Computer science is in everything. It's in banking. It's in agriculture. It's in engineering. It's in business, right? And so computer scientists, if you're going to study computer science, you can go in so many different directions: robotics, cybersecurity, AI, tech connectivity, software development. So by having more professors, we have more areas of expertise. We have more options and classes for you to choose from, and you can really tailor that degree to your specific interests. And then this also really makes your experience more practical, because studying from a book, studying for a test helps learn theory and things like that. But really, in order to learn, you need to practice what you're doing. And so we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to both understand the theory behind what you're doing and then actually get that experience to cement it. And that's going to be a big part of just about every single degree at OSU. And so when I talk about research, a lot of people think, oh, okay, research happens in hard sciences like biology, chemistry. It happens in engineering, but really research happens in every field. Business right now is actually, the amount of research in business is growing exponentially. And that's because we have access to so much information about our consumers. We need analysis to be able to understand that data, to sort it into meaningful categories where we can actually build our best business practices on those categories. So research is in every field. The other cool thing is you're going to be surrounded by research that's literally changing the world. Our professors are working on projects to address some of our biggest issues, whether it's climate change, whether it's severe weather prevention or infrastructure durability, new advancements in medical fields as well. Just to tell you about one of my favorite examples of a project that our graduate students and our professors are working on, and this involves biomedical adhesions. And so our biology department was actually looking at frogs. And if you think about a frog, when the frog shoots its tongue out, it's very sticky and it connects to the insect that it's going after, and the insect sticks to it. But when the frog puts the insect back in its mouth, it stops being sticky. And so our scientists looked into this phenomenon, and it has to do with the way that lipids or fat molecules line up. And when force is applied, they become very sticky. When the force is removed, so when the tongue is back in the mouth, it's not sticky anymore. Our engineering department looked at that research and said, we can find really practical applications for that. So think about a bandage. If you had a bandage, most of us, at some point, you have to peel that bandage off, and it maybe rips or scars the injured area. But if you have a bandage where you can apply a conductivity, put a little bit of force, electrical force in it, then it would be completely sticky until you remove that force, and then it would just fall off. So once again, this would revolutionize the way that the medical field works. And so these are the kinds of projects that we're working on at OSU, and we need you. We really need you to step in and be the next batch of researchers that work towards these solutions. Once you finish your degree at OSU, we're going to use our connections as a research institute and our connections that our professors have to make sure that you can take advantage of OPT, which is optional practical training. This is a program that allows you to stay and work in the US on your student visa for 1 to 3 years after you finish. And so currently we have about 560 international graduates that are employed and working on their OPT program. And the way that we're able to get that number so high is we actually have specific advisors and support built into your entire 4-year degree or 2-year graduate degree that are helping you that entire way. So being on the West Coast is super helpful because that's where innovation is born in the US. Everyone's heard of Silicon Valley and the tech bubble up in Seattle. We're right in the middle of that. We work with those companies very closely. Every year, our students do internships with them. Every year, our students get jobs with them. Like I mentioned, it's so important to build your resume. So we're going to give you opportunities to do that. Work on campus, do an internship. We have a career portal that advertises OPT opportunities. So instead of having to find jobs on your own, as you're getting closer to graduation, you can actually go into the portal, create a profile, and easily apply to many OPT opportunities. Then the advisors will work with you to help you figure out all your paperwork. They're also going to work with the employer. So, we work really closely with Intel. We have a lot of students go there every single year. Intel is an international company, and they totally understand how to hire international students in the US. But let's say you're actually working with a small cybersecurity company based in Northern California that doesn't have the expertise of working with international students. Maybe they're a little bit hesitant or afraid because they don't know what paperwork or what the regulations are. Our advisors will actually work with them as well and make sure that they're confident in hiring you and that they get help with the paperwork as well. So we're creating additional opportunities for our students. And then that same advisor will stay with you your entire time during your OPT, so the whole 1 to 3 years after you graduate. So this is a phenomenal way to kickstart your career, to get some great experience working in the US, earning a US salary, and then it really is going to jumpstart your career after that. Besides that OPT support, like I mentioned earlier, we put each student at the center of what we do, and we know that every student is going to need something a little bit different. And as mentioned earlier, I moved to Vietnam for work, and I had never been to Vietnam before. And so I was really nervous. I was like, what happens when I get to the airport? I don't really speak Vietnamese. What's the experience going to be like? Am I going to be able to meet people? And that's probably what many of you are feeling as you think about study abroad is, man, what's it going to be like? how am I going to get along with the people there? Am I going to make friends? Do I understand? Am I going to do well in my classes? So just know that at Oregon State University for decades, we've been customizing our support for international students and making sure that you have every tool necessary to be successful. This starts with pre-arrival orientation. So we're going to make sure that even before you buy your plane ticket, we're talking to you, you know what to expect. We can give you the best information on how to get here. We'll pick you up at the airport once you do get here. And then you have a full week before your classes start where you can get to know your advisors, your professors, make sure that you're registered, that you have your books. And then once your classes start, we have extra academic tutoring specific for international students. We have early intervention specialists that are kind of monitoring grades and attendance throughout the first term, just making sure that you're doing okay. A lot of international students, they're new to the U.S. education system, so we're going to help iron out anything that comes up. Besides that, and this year has definitely proved it, but we're looking after the health and the well-being of our students. And during COVID, it's been a challenge, but the university really stepped up and made sure that students felt safe on campus, that faculty and staff felt safe on campus, and we enacted measures to make sure that COVID-19 did not disrupt or delay anyone's studies this year. And then finally, we're gonna, like I mentioned, that we're gonna make sure that we're preparing you for that career. OSU is a very practical degree. It's practical in the sense that you're going to be doing a lot of things rather than studying for tests. And it's practical in the sense that we want you to be able to graduate and step right into your field. So we're gonna make sure that we support you throughout that entire process. And in fact, our international students report at overwhelming rates that they are very satisfied with the support that they're getting. The social support, the activities that they get to do to be able to explore American culture and go out to some of those beautiful places I showed you at the beginning of the presentation. And then also that academic support to make sure that they're doing well in their classes and that they're getting the most out of their education. And finally, I did want to talk about scholarships. And so Oregon State University, depending on which program you're looking for, we have a very simplified application process, and most of our scholarships are automatic. So for applications, we're just looking for your GPA, so some kind of transcript, and then some kind of proof of English language. And once we have that, we can assess you for a lot of different of our scholarship opportunities. So for students from South America and Central America, we actually have a $8,000 automatic award at the undergraduate level. So if you're getting ready to study as a freshman, we can provide you $8,000 for your first year, and that carries over to your second year, your third year, and your fourth year. So it's a really phenomenal opportunity to cut the cost of tuition way down by about $8,000. For graduate students or other students, we have a continued success scholarship. This means if you do well during your first year, you can get a scholarship for your second, third, and fourth year, or if you're a graduate student for your second year, no matter what your incoming GPA is. And then we also have some other scholarships. It's easier to talk to you individually about scholarships because there are a lot of opportunities depending on your major, where you're coming from, what program you're going into. And so I'd be happy to meet with any of you afterwards and talk individually about the kinds of scholarships or financial opportunities that might be there for you. So that's about it. There's so much more I could say because, like I said, I studied here. I absolutely loved my time here, and I've got a lot of great stories. But I know that that was already a lot of information, so I want to keep it there. But I do want to encourage you to actually get a feel for what it would be like to be on campus. And so I've got a couple QR codes and links here. Check out Facebook and Instagram to get a feel of campus life, our students, our activities. YouTube is another great place. Also, we have a full virtual campus tour where you can see all of the different buildings that you'd be studying in and living in and eating in and recreating in. So definitely check that one out as well. And then we actually have the opportunity for you to chat with real students as well. So if you want to try to find someone from your country or major and ask them what the experience was like, they'd be happy to chat with you. So lots of resources to give you a very unfiltered view of OSU and what it's like to be a student here. And with that, I'm going to kind of wrap it up unless we have any questions. I'd love to answer them now or in the future. And we work very closely with Global Studies. And so if you have questions in the future, they know our campus, they know our systems, they know our admission requirements, they can help you out. And then they can contact me if they have any additional questions. Oh, I don't think we can hear you.
Thank you, Casey. Yes. We have some questions. Casey, when is the deadline for the next intake, please?
Yeah, so we're on the quarter system, which means we have 4 intakes throughout the year: June, September, December, and March. And so depending on your program, most students can start any term. And so we have a rolling application, which means there's no deadline. Of course, it does take a little bit of while to process and to get your visa, but basically we encourage students to apply as soon as possible so they can maximize the scholarships they get, they can prepare for their travels, they can get that visa and arrive on time. But we really don't have a deadline. If you miss one, we'll admit you to the next intake that we have.
Okay. Casey, and tell me please, are there any scholarships available for athletes?
Yeah, so the athletic scholarships, if you go to our athletics webpage and the sport that you're interested in playing, if you go to the far right, you'll see a tab for recruits. And so if you want to try out, basically virtually try out, then you'll submit all your information and like a highlight reel, like your portfolio, right? And then the staffing, the coaches and the staffing for the sport will take a look and contact you. And that scholarship can vary very widely, depends on how good you are and how much they want you at OSU. So it's pretty variable, but that's a great start for athletes, for serious athletes.
Oh, perfect. And Casey, for example, about the postgraduate and undergraduate programs, do they have any internships options?
Yeah, so basically at the undergraduate level, all of our programs are eligible for internships. And we'll build that right into your academic program. So you're getting that credit. It doesn't slow you down or anything like that. Some of our programs, we already have partners that we'll place you with. So for example, if you're in finance or if you're in engineering, we have a program that automatically, you apply for it. If you get in, you automatically get a 6-month-long paid internship with a top company like Boeing or Intel or IBM. And then actually, you go back, take 2 more terms of classes, and then get a second paid internship at a different company. So phenomenal program. Others are very customizable. And so some students want to, they're studying finance and they're really enjoying their time in Corvallis, but they want to maybe go home for the summer and do an internship there. That's absolutely an option as well. At the postgraduate level, it's a little bit different. Most programs, you can still do an internship. Most programs are also practical in nature, which means there's a capstone. And the capstone is kind of like the final project that you do. For some majors, that might be an internship. For other majors, it might be a project. So a business might come to OSU and say, we have a problem. We need to make all these deliveries in the most efficient way. Can you build a system, a database that will allow us to map out the most efficient way to deliver all our deliveries? And a student would actually work on that project, and that would be their capstone.
Perfect. And Casey, could you please explain us a little bit more about minors and the measures?
Yeah, so at OSU, like I said, there's quite a few. There's about 200, but our largest department is our engineering department. We have about 18 different majors at the undergraduate and graduate level in engineering. So the most popular ones for international students are probably computer science, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and then industrial engineering. But there's quite a few others. Our second largest department is our business. And I love our business program. Every university has business. So sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to know, okay, what's the difference between OSU and another university? But one thing that our business program does is at the undergraduate level, everyone in their first year runs a business. And so you're put in a small group of students, you have to make $500 profit in 10 weeks. And you're in charge of everything, of sourcing the materials, of the marketing, the advertising, setting the cost, selling, and then you get to learn from that first year experience. So it's a great jumping off point for students to be able to do even more advanced internships in their second year, third year, or fourth year. Besides those two, which are our largest programs, we have 8 different departments. So social science, health science, what we call like the hard sciences, the earth sciences, life sciences. Then we also have education. So if you're interested in education, and then some pre-professional programs. in the U.S., if you want to become a professional, and this would be in the medical field or like a lawyer or a veterinarian or something like that, you start with an undergraduate degree in a pre-professional program, and then you apply for those programs. So we've got a lot of those as well.
Okay. And Casey, tell me please, for example, in the case that we have a student that has two nationalities, he is Bolivian and has the American nationality, how is he treated about the fees as a home student, as international student?
Yeah, so basically, two parts to that question. So I'll start with the nationality. So we will always, if a student has an American passport, if they're a citizen, we always, even if they're a dual citizen, we always take that first, which means you would actually apply through the domestic application process. The good news is, though, the tuition is the same. It's the same for, you know, a student living anywhere in the world outside of Oregon. And then there is a lower price for students living in Oregon because our families are paying taxes into the university. So anywhere in the world outside of Oregon is the same cost for all students.
Okay. And tell me, Casey, for example, if a student has good scores in the ACT or SAT, are there any chances to get a higher scholarship? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, so just, you know, the ACT and the SAT, we actually don't require them for admission, yet we can use them for either proof of English language. So if you got a good score, we can say, okay, obviously your English is strong. And then we actually have something called the Honors College, which is the most prestigious degree that you can get from OSU. So you would go through the Honors College, but you can choose any major. So I'm a computer science major in the Honors College. And if you are invited to join the Honors College, there is an additional scholarship there. And it's a phenomenal, like I said, it's a phenomenal opportunity where it's recognized as the best degree an OSU student can get.
Okay. And I want to ask you something else about the English tests. For example, is the TOEFL Home Edition still accepted for the next intake?
Yes, it is. Yeah. And so we understand that COVID has impacted a lot of the testing of the different tests and stuff like that. So we have a lot of different waivers for students who just weren't able to take it. So that would absolutely be valid for your English language.
Oh, thank you, Casey. Well, I think those are all the questions we have by now. And I want to thank you, Casey, for being with us. And you, Lina, thank you for being with us today. I know that all the students that are interested in applying with Oregon State University will contact us. And we know that we will have your help to help those students to study there.
Very much looking forward to meeting them. Thank you so much for hosting today.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Hugo and Casey.
Thank you. Thank you to you. And we will be waiting for another chance to be in another broadcast. Thank you for your time. And thank you all the people that was with us today.
Bye, everyone.